What's up, hockey think tankers? Welcome to another Friday Face-Off sponsored by Titan Battle Gear. If you heard our most recent conversation with the founder of Titan Battle Gear, you know why we're so excited about what they're building. Titan is changing how players think about their base layer protection. It's Velcro-free, breathable, lightweight, and made with the highest cut-resistant fabric on the market today. It's no wonder that they've recently become an official partner of USA Hockey to help advance player safety. This is definitely gear I want my guys wearing. Hockey Think Tank listeners can get 15% off at titanbattlegear.com/GMBM.
Love it. Let's go, baby. Friday Face-Off. Sometimes on Friday Face-Offs, guys, we got 10 minutes on the clock, but sometimes we pick some topics that might get a little uncomfortable. And that's okay. We're going to do that here today. And we talked about it in our intro from this past week's episode that we were going to touch on it. So here we are, and we're going to touch on it. We're going to touch on the aftermath of the men and the women USA hockey teams winning the gold medal. And it was amazing to, go from such an incredible high after, both the men and the women won to basically what is going on in the world and everything today, which is we're going to take something that should be a uniter and we're going to let it divide us. And so I honestly, I've been upset about this because for me, as somebody whose passion is to grow the game of hockey, it was a really big, I don't want to say missed opportunity, but there was so much positive momentum. Everybody was talking about hockey in such this amazing way, and the men and the women both winning the gold medal, and then what happened on social media, right? Like Cash Patel's in the locker room partying with the guys. And then, Trump calls and he makes an off-color joke about the women, kind of being second class. Hey, we're going to have to, invite the women, and then the players laugh, and then the players end up going, to the White House and all this kind of stuff. And I have some strong feelings on this. I've actually talked to a lot of people about this, and I didn't want to say anything or bring this up on the podcast because I wanted to see the reaction over the past week or so of the interviews of the men's team and the interviews of the women's team, and just kind of see what that was going to be. Because you and I both, we know players that are on the team. We know people within USA Hockey who were there. We have a pretty good sense of the men's and the women's team and just kind of how they interact and stuff like that. You train a couple of the people. We have a little bit of an insider view, and we want to give you kind of our unfiltered thoughts on everything that transpired. So, I know you're obviously active on social media. It's been an absolute firestorm ever since Trump made that phone call and the guys laughed. So what were kind of your thoughts? We're kind of breaching politics into hockey right now, which is fine. I mean, we're not going to talk much about politics, but what were your thoughts there, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so stupid, people who bring politics into sports. Politics should not be in sports, especially at the Olympics. It's the opposite of politics. We're pausing politics to all come together and celebrate athletes and sport, and finding ways to bridge gaps and things like that. I think anybody that cares that Cash Patel was in the locker room, I think that's stupid. The players don't control that. So to get mad at the players, stupid. They didn't make that decision. Okay. Stupid. Getting mad at players for laughing at an off-color joke that shouldn't have even been filmed. Stupid. All right. Stupid. Just I don't know why everybody has to make every single thing political. It's so frustrating, and it's how can we score points on this side or that side? And anybody that's mad at the players for when the president of the United States says anything, you're gonna have a reaction that it is the president of the United States. I don't care what your politics are. They're just happy to be on the phone that the president of the United States just called them after they won the gold. That's it. And what do you think? They're going to stop and say, don't laugh at that? It was an off-color joke. I don't think it's a big deal at all. I know that you and I don't look at political things the same way, but I think that why were we talking about anything other than the men and the women both won gold? And that's what it should be about for hockey and for the country. And it's so, for me, it's just people just want to be mad at everything. Like, let's be happy for the game. Let's be happy for the first time in history that the men and the women from the U.S. won the gold at the same time. Let's be happy that like we crushed. Like I just hate. It's so stupid. So let's get back to sports.
So I'll agree with you and I'll disagree with you on a couple things. I don't necessarily think that bringing politics into sports in some cases is bad. And the reason why I say that is Muhammad Ali. Like Muhammad Ali is the giant that he is because he did speak out against things that he didn't believe were right. And athletes, like it or not, have a platform and they have people who listen to what they say. And you might not agree with what they say, but it's our right as Americans under our First Amendment to be able to have an opinion. You don't have to like the opinion or whatever it may be. And for me, when you think about it, again, even going back earlier in the Olympics, right? There were some people in some other sports that were like, hey, it's tough to be an American at sometimes because I don't agree with X, Y, or Z. I think that's patriotic to speak your mind, just as it's patriotic to go to the White House and shake Donald Trump's hand, even if you don't like him. Like it's our right as Americans to have free speech. And anytime that people go against that I have a problem with that. Like everybody should have the right to say what they feel. The blowback or whatever will be what it is, but we should all have that right. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah, totally.
I think we would agree on that. So on the other side of things, I'm really frustrated because it was funny. I actually had a lot of conversations with some very strong, independent women that I know who are in the hockey world about what happened. And it's interesting because obviously Trump is Trump, and Trump is a divisive person. And he made a joke that struck a chord with a lot of women. And there are a lot of women in the hockey world, and there are a lot of women in the world at large that have felt like second-class citizens because of a lot of different things, whether it's in the working world, whether it's as a mom, whether it's in sports. A lot of women have felt that way for a long time. And I think Donald Trump brings that out in a lot of people. And so there were a lot of women that had certain feelings about that joke, and they weren't happy with the men's team for laughing at that joke, which is understandable. Now, what I would say to them is, for me, I think like politically, I grew up in a very conservative kind of family and household. And then I went to like the most liberal college in the United States. So I kind of have seen both ends of the political spectrum as it relates to some of that stuff. And like me personally, like I am not a Trump fan. Like I think he's and let me preface this. I think all politicians suck. So like I'm not just like one or the other. Like I think they're all, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of them, they're only reason for being in politics is for power and money, and they lie, and it's self-serving. Yes. So, and I think Trump is at the top of it. Like he's very good at making us divisive and divided, and people can disagree or agree with that or whatever it may be. I thought it was a bad joke. You can agree or disagree with me on that. I think it was a bad joke. But it's funny, like I'm not a Trump fan at all, but here's what I would say. If I'm in that locker room on Team USA and we just won the gold medal, and you're in a high and it's a euphoria in there, and Johnny Gaudreau with his kids and the family there, and like it's the first time we've won in 46 years. The women just won too. Like there's so much to celebrate. And then like they didn't know that joke was coming. And so he makes a joke and they laugh. And honestly, for me, as someone who's not a fan of that guy, I probably would have done the same thing, and then later on, I would have been like, eesh, like, that probably was a bad joke. Like that wasn't a good joke. As far as going to the White House, again, same thing, like not a fan of that guy, but I'm going with my team. Like I'm not wearing a MAGA hat, I'm not like, I love Trump or anything like that. I think one of the guys wore a MAGA hat or something like that. And there's probably some of the guys who are Trump guys, but like, I'm going to celebrate my country and my team because I'm a proud American, and I'm going to the White House, even though I don't like that guy. Yeah. Now, I think you have every right to disagree with me. And I think you have every right to not go, and to decline that invitation.
See, I don't think I agree. You have the right to. But here's my thing, bro. And it goes for all of this. Muhammad Ali didn't, in the middle of a boxing match or at the end of a boxing match, speak about politics. He did it in his own time. He didn't do it, I don't believe, when he was representing the United States of America in the Olympics either. For me, you wear the red, white, and blue. It's like you have a fight with your wife. Do you do it out in public and get in an argument, or do you wait to get in the car or wait till you get home because it's a respect thing? You know, for me, it's that to the nth degree when you wear the red, white, and blue in international competition. Do you have the right to say whatever you want? Yes, you do. But I don't think you should be talking about politics when you're over there representing you're making it from a we thing to a me thing, right? Whether you think you're standing up for people or whatever it is, I don't think that should be done. Like, I also don't think that they should be like punished immediately. But if I'm somebody who's picking a team to wear the red, white, and blue and go overseas, I'm thinking about those things. How did they represent our country at the last thing where they were wearing USA jersey? Like that matters to me, because you're not just representing yourself or your team or your sport. You're representing all Americans. And so again, do I believe you have the freedom of speech? Yes. We all have the freedom of speech to say anything we want. There's no such thing as hate speech. There's only freedom of speech. You can say anything. Yes, there will be repercussions for what you say. But I also think that you should be respectful when you're wearing the red, white, and blue, represent the country and represent the people of the country. You want to talk about political things or anything like that, you do that when you're not wearing the red, white, and blue. Also, you do like,
so let me ask you this.
23 hours in the day, you know, like your competition's an hour. Talk about it in your own time, away from the sport, away from wearing
okay.
red, white,
so let me ask you this. For the people in the other sports who are kind of like, we don't like what's going on in Minnesota. We don't like what's going on with ice. You know, some of those things that are not anti-American, but like bringing up some of the problems that we have in our country. You're sitting there, you're in front of a microphone, and a reporter asks you the question. What do you think about? Yeah, but so that's fine. I don't agree with you. I think everybody has the right in whatever time that they want. That's what being American is all about.
I said, is that the time to be doing it? That's what I said. Yeah, we have the right. We have the right. I don't think as a respect thing for the country, you should be doing that. Just like, what if somebody asked you about something going on Cornell's campus and you're at Michigan playing, something happened and they ask you about it and you hated what happened. Are you going to talk about Cornell in a negative light? I wouldn't have done that when I was at Western Michigan. It's the same thing for me here, but like stacked on the
So I don't know if I would have, but I have no problem with people who want to speak their mind. Yeah, that's what being American's all about. Man. It is. It's in my opinion. And again, we can agree to disagree, but I think,
we don't got to agree. I don't agree at all. Like I think it's disrespectful to the country and all of the citizens and everyone. Like
a lot of people in government do things that are disrespectful towards our country every freaking day, you know? So
totally agree. And a bunch of them need to be put in a wood chipper, a bunch of them. However, you know, my mom.
No, this is good. I think there's a lot of people who think both of our ways, right? And there's not right or wrong. I think, and that's why it's good to have these discussions. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is, you know, I've been really watching a lot of the interviews of a lot of the men's team and a lot of the women's team. And I think one of the things that really got lost in all the crap that was going on was how much respect and camaraderie and love there was between those two teams. And it really sucks that the wedge got put in between them because of the joke and all that kind of stuff. Because like, if you know these people, which we know some of them, and you kind of know what's going on, like I think about like Jack Hughes, when he's asked right after he scores his goal, who's the first person he thought of? It was Megan Keller. You know, it wasn't his family. It wasn't the boy. It was literally, he said Megan Keller, you know? And there were so many other different types of things where, you know, they're partying together after the men won, and there's just so much love and support. And you heard that even pre those games about how much camaraderie in the Olympic Village, and they were sharing rooms and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's the thing that really gets me, is that the story that was told on social media was not reality. Reality was these two teams like had a kinship, and they really enjoyed, and, you know, like, You look at a lot of the women's interviews and they echoed that kind of stuff. Some of them said, hey, we didn't really like the joke, but it's not on the guys. That's the president's joke, and it is what it is. You had a bunch of the guys. You had some of them like Charlie McAvoy and Swayman and a couple others being like, yeah, we probably didn't handle that in the right way. I wish we wouldn't have laughed, and you have other guys that were like, hey, we love the women's team and we're so happy for them and all this kind of stuff. So like the camaraderie that was there, it was so real, it was so authentic, and it was so American, honestly. Like that was the really coolest part. And the thing too is like, do you remember the first podcast interview that we ever did? It was Kendall Coyne Schofield.
Yeah.
Kendall Coyne. And this was 7+ years ago. And this was, at the apex of the women's team's fight against USA Hockey for equity and equality. And if you look at where they are today, as opposed to where they were 7 years ago, unbelievable. Like it's absolutely night and day, and they fought for that and they deserve it. And I'm so proud of those women, especially as someone with 3 daughters, to stand up for what they believe in and speak their voice. And you look at what's happened since then, and here we are, the men and the women's team, gold medal. They see each other as equals because of the fight that the women had and standing up for themselves, like I said. And so like, again, like all of those positive things got, I don't want to say diminished, but they didn't hit the top of the news cycle like they should have, which would have celebrated the women's game more, which would have grown the women's game more, which would have created a sense of unity within USA Hockey and our hockey world at large. So I think I want to make sure I don't dismiss and diminish the fact that I know that the joke and potentially some of the aftermath made women feel, it triggered something that made them feel like a lot of women have felt in the working world and in the hockey world, where they have felt like second-class citizens, because it's important to talk about that. And those are very real feelings, and those are very valid feelings. On the other side of it too, it's important to talk about how much unity there actually was in there, and how much the men and the women team, and how much positivity that should have been the leading story about this to help grow our game and bring people together, as opposed to what actually happened. And so I'm like, we went kind of all over the place here, and I think we agree on a lot of stuff and we disagree on a few things, which is what America is about. And so I am so proud to be an American. I am so proud of what USA Hockey has been able to accomplish. And I want to help to ring the positivity bell, because that's the real story. I'm proud of everybody that was involved. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud of the flag and the red, white, and blue. Are we perfect? No. Do we need to stand up when we don't think things are right? Yes, absolutely, 100%. And so, yeah, man, that's being American.
America.
Anything else to end it off?
No, I just, it's seeing people who were upset that athletes don't want to talk about politics. It's like, who are these reporters? Get out of the locker room. You're an idiot. Get out of the locker room. They just won the gold medal. They're not trying to talk about politics. Like, stop making it about something that it's not. There's politic time. There's sport time. There's America in the Olympics winning golds. Let's celebrate. Let's play Freebird. Let's dance around with flags and be freaking happy for the country, for the men, for the women, for all the people that participated. Strength coaches, coaches, trainers, everybody who was involved. Zamboni guys, everybody. All right. Let's make the hockey game better. Let's just love your neighbor.
Yeah, man. More love. More love.
Ring, everybody.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. And congrats to Team USA, man. 2 gold medals. Unreal.